Welcome everybody to another video. I am Lord Redfern, and today I'm doing a bit of an unscripted video because of a topic that I want to talk about in regards to the Oblivion remaster. So of course it got announced one day, it then got dropped the next day, and I have been playing it pretty much non-stop and I am absolutely adoring it. Now, an issue that's currently circulating the community is the unfortunate decision by Bethesda to change the traditional options of picking male and female to being body type 1 and body type 2. Now, given that this decision was made, people have already tried making mods to fix this and change it back to being male and female. And those mods have been banned already on the Nexus. They didn't get to exist on the Nexus for very long at all, but the Nexus seems to be pretty woke these days when it comes to various mods. A good example will be in the Spider-Man game, the PlayStation Spider-Man game. People removed the pride flags from the game and instead wanted just the American flags, which I completely understand. But that mod got banned also because apparently it was seen as being transphobic, which I really don't see it being as transphobic. At the end of the day, it's a game set in America, in the capital, and they are proud of their American flag and wanted the American flag and didn't want wokeness infecting their game. So I completely get it. I also, slightly get having pride flags in the game if that's going to make some people feel better, but maybe have it as an option that you can turn on or off or something like that. I don't know. Or maybe have it for some kind of special event that recognizes people who have gender dysphoria and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know what the right way is to go about it. Personally, for me, I would rather have just the American flag. I'm British, and even I would prefer just the American flag in the game. It's set in America. I would feel the same way if I was playing a game that was set in England, and instead of having the English flag or the Great British flag in my game, we had pride flags. I'd feel the same way. So when it comes back to the body type of 1 or 2 for the Oblivion remaster, and of course having those mods change that back, I see quite an interesting discussion around the fact that apparently anybody who has an issue with the fact that Bethesda have chosen to change this option to body type 1 and 2 instead of male and female, apparently that makes us the snowflakes, that we have a problem with it. I don't see it as us being snowflakes. I think people are throwing the term snowflake around far too loosely these days. To be a snowflake, you've got to be damn near offended by everything. Being offended by one tiny thing in the game, yes, it is extremely minuscule, and you see it for all of about 5 seconds while you're creating your character. But I don't think being offended by that makes you a snowflake. I think it's a clear case of seeing what is... It might be a case of what's right and what's wrong, what's, inclusive or not inclusive. Maybe they could have done 3. Maybe they could have done male, female, and non-binary. I feel like that could have been a good option, really. For example, in Halo Infinite, they have actually 3 body types in a way. There is no male and female, but they do have a body type, kind of like a 1, 2, and a 3. 1 is obviously male. The second one is very, very slim and petite, so that's obviously female. And then the third body type is basically kind of in between the 2. So that is, I'm assuming, the one that people who don't identify as male and female would go for. So that inclusivity is still there, while in a way still retaining the core male and female, and then if you don't identify as those, there's something else. But I personally I personally would like it to say male and female in the game. I have less of an issue with it than probably some other people, because at the end of the day, I know in my mind that my character is female, and I believe in It's not even a belief in basic biology. It's just basic biology is just a fact. So I would personally prefer it to say male and female instead of it saying body type 1 and body type 2. I think the reason people are getting so upset about it is, yes, it is such a minuscule thing. It's one quick option that you deal with in game, and then then it's done with, and then you move on to the other parts of the character creator, whereas it's, your hair, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, and all that stuff. Once you've completed that one option of picking which body type you want, you never see it again. But I think the issue that people are having with it, and I can see this issue arising in the future, I think people are assuming that if we let gaming companies get away with basically erasing male and female options and having body types instead, people are thinking, well, if we let them get away with that, then what else are they going to try and get away with in the future? So, like you say, this is just a small thing, but what if enough games keep coming out with this body type 1 and 2 option, and gaming companies start to think, well, there's not as many people offended about it or are ignoring this option, so let's just start adding more things into the game. More wokeness, as we would say. So I think probably that's what some people are assuming may or may not happen. If we let them get away with changing male and female to body type 1 and 2, what else are they going to start potentially changing in future games? At the end of the day, this is a remaster of an old game. When you played this game originally, it was male and female. It should be kept that way too. It's supposed to be a remaster, not a completely new game. If you want to make a completely new game and have male, female, and then something else, then I'm like, okay, yeah, fine, whatever, do that. I'm all for making new things diverse, but I do not like it when somebody takes something that is old and then over diversifies it. I don't like it at all. If you're going to remaster something, it's like taking a dirty penny and cleaning it up and making it polished again and shiny. Remaking the penny to be something that you want, that's a bit of a different story. So I think that's just the issue that people are having with it at the end of the day. They're seeing it as wokeness infecting the game, even if it is a very, very small option that you have to deal with. And people feel like it's potentially erasing the core of what Oblivion was when they originally played it all those years ago. And yes, it's just one tiny option. I completely get it. But one tiny option could become in the future 2 options, 3 options, 4 options. And before you know it, the entire identity of having a masculine male character or feminine female character, those things could completely vanish. So I do totally get why people want male and female back in the game. And you have to kind of dive into it a little bit more to realize why it could potentially become quite an issue in not just this game, but any game in the future. And yes, in one way, I understand why game developers are doing it. They're doing it because they want certain groups of people to feel more included in the game. I get that, I do. But by doing that, you're erasing what other people, the majority, feel when they're playing the game. They feel now less included in the game. There's less inclusion in the game. Having male and female works for everybody out there who is male and female. Basic biology, male and female. Like me, I'm a man. That's it. Deal with it. XY chromosome. But you need to balance the act of making something inclusive and diverse without erasing what was already there. Gaming is supposed to be a place where we can all go to escape the world that we currently live in. We play games because we love them and it's an escape. We don't want things like political correctness, and all that stuff that comes along with that. We don't want that in our games. We play games to escape that, not to have more of it thrown in our face. So I know this kind of video could cause a lot of arguments. I've already said that at the end of the day, it didn't really bother me too much. Like I said, it's such a tiny option. It's such a tiny option. You flick between the two options for maybe 5 to 6 seconds at the most, and then you move on. And yes, it's such a tiny thing, and people are probably going to say, well, yeah, there you go, you're saying it's such a tiny option, why should it matter? It matters because of what it could imply later, what could come later. If companies feel like they can get away with adding something as small as this, what's to stop them adding more small things that erase male and female and make things more diverse and inclusive for people who don't identify as male and female? So I don't think mods should be banned from the Nexus for changing it back to male and female. At the end of the day, if you don't identify as male and female, then you just simply wouldn't download this mod. You'd be okay with having body type 1 and body type 2. You just wouldn't download the mod. Simple. You'd be okay with the settings that are in the game and the way that those settings are named. You'd be fine with it. But for those of us who are male and female, basic biology male and female, who don't have gender dysphoria and are, as the trans community would state, identified as male and female, we want it to say male and female. It does not make us snowflakes because we want the actual names of male and female in the game. It doesn't make you a snowflake at all. Yes, we're offended by it, but being offended by something doesn't automatically make you a snowflake. That's not what a snowflake is. A snowflake is somebody who is incredibly offended by damn near everything. That's what a snowflake is. And I think it gets thrown around far too much, that term. There's people who I know who get offended by a lot of things, and people call them snowflakes. But they're not actually snowflakes. And it's a term that should be reeled in a little bit, because it's not nice to use it when it's incorrect. You're allowed to be offended by things. Being offended is subjective. And there's nothing wrong with being offended by something. So that's all I've really got to say on the topic. It's not going to stop me playing the game. I played this game when I was young. I enjoyed it so much. I lost my mind with each leak that came out. I lost my mind when they posted the teaser image on X, and then I lost my mind and even recorded myself reacting to the reveal as well. And I am never going to stop playing this game. But the Nexus needs to stop being as woke as they are. They do have some pretty woke behaviour. And I'm hoping that game developers can recognise that, yes, if you want to try and be a bit more inclusive, fine, but don't erase what is already there for the rest of the community who are male and female. But guys, I know this was a bit of a hot topic, but I felt the need to say something. You know, why not? There's probably going to be people who agree with me, and there's going to be people who disagree with me, and that's totally fine. We can all agree to disagree, and that doesn't mean we have to fall out. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing on a topic. If everybody agreed on everything, the world would be a very boring place. So let's all agree to disagree. If you disagree, if you agree, that's fine. But it doesn't mean people have to fall out over something like this. Maybe if everybody starts having constructive comments and discussions about this topic, maybe things will be a little bit nicer when it comes to talking about topics like this. Yes, they're sensitive topics, but there's a way of going about it that doesn't insult other people. That's all I've got to say, guys. Thank you, words are hard. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video, or of whatever it's going to be on. Stay safe, everybody.